Hey everyone, it's Ten Types, and today we're looking at some new cards from the expansion, the Japanese expansion, Paradise Dragana, which is going to be, and by the way, these were just revealed at the World Championships, which is really cool. There will be more stuff revealed, hopefully at the World Championships, and I'm going to be talking about that later. I don't know what that is. I'm just recording this pretty soon after these were revealed. I'm actually pretty tired right now too, but this will be coming in English and internationally, so pretty much everywhere outside Japan in Surging Sparks in November. So that's going to be pretty cool. And yeah, the set's focused around Surging Sparks is focused around like Dragon Pokemon, and apparently it's going to have Sylveon EX. Though I don't know if it's going to have the other evolutions, and it'll have Stellar Pikachu. It'll have, or no, Terra Pikachu might not be Stellar. We'll see, and we'll see some cool cards from this set. We've seen some cool ones as well already, so it's definitely. I don't remember, to be honest, exactly what the cards were. We saw like Latios, Latios and Latios. So the Latios EX is pretty interesting, pretty solid, but then we have some other cards here that are revealed that are pretty interesting. Also, I was looking at these as they were being, like the translations were being revealed on PokeBeach because I don't know Japanese, and so they were like being translated as I was looking at them. So like there's a comment because PokeBeach, there's like you can leave comments, and someone like left a comment, and I was really confused what it meant. It was referring to a card that like wasn't. Um, I don't know. It was like the website had some weird like desync between the comments and the cards. But anyways, the cards should be translated correctly now. And these are pretty interesting cards. Trap Bench is not very interesting. Call for Friends, Call for Family, search for basics, put them onto your bench, and like a generic attack here. Vibrava, similar idea. Screech, it does, I don't know, you can like increase damage. It's not very good. But then we have Flyon here, Flyon EX, which is a stellar Pokemon. And oh, the image isn't a great quality, whatever. So it is a Terra, so immune to bench damage from both yours and your opponents, and that means it can use cards like Sparkling Crystal and can enable Noctowl and Area Zero Underdepths and stuff. It's solid. It's certainly nice to be a Terra Pokemon. But then we have two attacks here. The first one is Stormbug 130 for one fighting, and you can switch this with a Pokemon on your bench. That is really, really solid. Hit and run attacks are generally not very strong. Generally, they're hitting like 30, maybe more, but I mean, I can't really think of too many that see play right now. I can't really think of any. Alakazam EX is kind of like this. It doesn't hit and run, but it attacks straight from the bench. So in practicality, it's similar. The idea with hit and run is that you're able to, send your Flygon EX to the bench and then send up some Pokemon that has probably some ability that walls off your opponent's active. And as I said, this was revealed during the World Championships. It is before the finals, but I believe Iron Thorns EX is in the finals, and that is it's not exactly a wall, but it's pretty similar to a wall. So you could send something like that up. You could send, and by the way, you can give that free retreat. You want something with it doesn't need free retreat, I guess, but you need some way to get your Flygon EX back into the active. So free retreat on your wall is nice. You could do Klefki. You could do Fluttermane, although Fluttermane's not as strong as Klefki generally, but it is a solid card still. And I'm sure there's like Mimikyu or Cornerstone Masquerade Group EX as well. But then we have the second attack here, Peridot Sonic. I don't know if I said that right, but whatever. It probably isn't even translated this attack name anyways. But it's water fighting metal. So the stellar Pokemon have attacks that look like this, where it's three different types, which means they're kind of hard to pull off. Sparkling Crystal is a tool that will make it easier, but also it's an ace spec. And then there's some things you can do, but they're kind of sketchy. They have their issues, but it is payable, and it does 100 to each of your opponent's Pokemon EX and Pokemon V. And oh, you don't apply weakness and resistance even to the active, so that's fine. 100 to each Pokemon EX and V. This is okay. I mean, it's really good if you can get it off. You don't discard the energy, so if you survive a hit, which is a good chance you'll do, you are a Stage 2 EX, so you have 310 HP, kind of low for a Stage 2 EX, but it's not that big of a deal. 310 should be certainly good enough to survive. It's not like having 330 or 340 is going to really let you survive another hit most of the time. But then you will be getting one-shot by some next as well, and that's the other deck in the finals, I believe, is Roaring Moon EX, and so Roaring Moon EX can one-shot you. It can one-shot anything, but then HP is very low, so then Paradox Sonic is really nice. Stormbug is also good, but you'll be essentially one-shotting. I don't know if it's one-shotting if they already have 200 damage on them, but you can essentially like trade evenly and then apply a lot of pressure with Predosonic. And so if you can do that, then you can trade positively with a deck like that. I mean, you beat both decks probably, assuming you set up. But this is interesting. The energy obviously is awkward. Water energy. I mean, they're all awkward, right? Fighting energy. There's Garganackle and there's the Gutsy Pickaxe. There we go. I was forgetting its name. And then there was for water there's Baxcalibur and I can't think of anything else that you can actually use with this that's water. That like because it's not a water type. A lot there's like Origin Form Pal could be a star, but you can't use that. And then there's also for metal there's like Metang. Metang I think is I mean all the options are honestly pretty sketchy, but um yeah, none of them are super good. There's Infinite as well. I didn't say that. That's instead of Garganackle, but there's Claydol. There's cards, but they're all kind of sketchy. So you probably want to just use Crispin and Sparkling Crystal to pull this off, and that is okay. And I think you can get by with that. Or you could use Neo Opera Energy as well. I think Sparkling Crystal is better than Neo Opera Energy, but I don't know. We'll find out. So Flygon EX definitely seems like a kind of cool card. I feel like the Stellar Pokemon seem okay, not like super insanely cool because they Stellar attacks are really hard to use, right? You might just be using the first attack, which is fine, but then there's no special mechanic going on there. But in terms of like a Pokemon, this is a cool card. Then we have Duraludon. I can do 130 for 3, but then it evolves into Arcaludon EX, which this card is cool. This was one of the ones that was mistranslated, where it, like said, so it accelerates metal energies, but it said it accelerates any energies. But anyway, so its ability, what it says is when you play this Pokemon to evolve on your Pokemon during your turn, you may attach up to two, or no, exactly two basic metal energies from your disco pile to your Pokemon in any way you like. That is obviously good. Metal decks like that you could do this with Dialga V-Star. I think. I mean, you can. I think it'll be in the format with it. It will. So, but not very long. But you could. So you could go turn two, get a bunch of metals in the discard, play two Arcaludon EXs and just attach, which is not super easy to do, but not super hard to do. And then you can do Dialga V-Stars back-to-back turns and just be, I mean, swinging, right? That's not, it's not super easy, but not super hard either. And the retreat cost on Arcaludon is it's 2, but there's a well Arcaludon EX, but then there's an Arcaludon single prizer, which says all your Pokemon that have metal energy attached have no retreat cost, so it essentially turns them all into essentially one retreat cost. You don't lose the energy as well, which is kind of good, kind of bad, but yeah, this Arcaludon is pretty cool as well. 1 of the HP on a stage 1's really high, and it does 160 for 3, and it can attack back to back, but it doesn't really matter much there. Also, I do think Arcaludon is just a cool Pokemon. I think Duraludon is as well. It's a big like building kind of. I guess the VMAX is the building, but whatever. Arcaludon, a fun Pokemon. But then it has 300 HP. I didn't really say this, and it does 220 for 3 metals, and it has no weakness next turn, which is super weird. Your opponent could technically like double counter catch or something to like force you out, but like Calodon EX seems really like just raw stats wise, it's really good. I think this card's pretty fun, has some versatility. I really like the card design on it. All its stats really do matter. I guess its weakness doesn't really matter, although it doesn't. It's not like it doesn't matter at all. And you do still have resistance. It looks like as well. This is something an effective attack we haven't seen before, as far as I'm aware. Maybe we haven't. I just can't think of it. But that's pretty unique. It's pretty not meaningful, right? Fire's not that good. I mean, Charizard EX is a good deck, but also it doesn't really play that many fire Pokemon. I mean, it plays like the pre-evolution, but they're not really attacking, so it doesn't play many fire attackers. So it does play Radiant Charizard, and then weakness could matter, or the turning off weakness could matter. But I think this effective attack's kind of weird, but that's fine. I do like the It's like a simple, I guess I described it as a beat stick Pokemon, which is like a Pokemon that just has good raw stats. You can attack with it, and that's it. But it is like kind of interesting as well. It has some depth to it. So I think Arcaludon EX is really cool with this single price Arcaludon as well. Probably Dialga V Star, and I think Batang is mostly just played with Dal. It was played with the Heatran, right? Some. I don't know if the Heatran has been. Oh, this is not the right card. Whatever. I don't know if the Heatran's been played like competitively. It's not a great, in my opinion, it's pretty bad. But yeah, like you just get a bunch of metal from it. It's not super bad, but you could play it with the Arcaludon EX, and The anti-acceleration is cool. It's on play, right? So you need to get the evolutions in hand. There's not a great way to do that. There's Hyper Aroma, Ultra Ball. Um, he doesn't do like Supporter Drayton, which is like okay as well. You could use that, but it's not great. So it's a little awkward to search out the evolutions. There's no evolution incense or Evosoda would not work. But yeah, I guess evolution incense. I can't think of too many other things like this. But yeah, I like this Pokemon though. It seems pretty fun. I knew of Rufflet in Breviary, and I was looking at this card and I was like, this is super weird. It's not that weird though. It's pretty boring. Drag out though, switching one of your points of bench to the active to forward to the new active or 120 for 3. We've seen so many Pokemon like this, which is interesting. But there is so many recently at least. If we just look at I don't know. I'm pretty sure we have. I think they've either been come out recently, like Malamar does this. By the way, Malamar, as far as I know, it doesn't work in live. It didn't work before. It just doesn't work at all. Um, and then I feel like there have been other cards like it. Maybe in Stellar Miracle there are some. I think this Grimmsnarl does that. So, there are cards like that, and they're not usually great, but they are ways to counter Manaphy and like hit through that. And Braviary evolves from Rufflet, which Hisuian Braviary also does. And Hisuian Braviary, there is the one oh I'm in Japanese. Let's go back to English. And Hisuian Braviary, there's two. I forgot there was two. Or I knew there was two. I just didn't think about it. But put 3 damage counters on each of your opponent's Pokemon with damage counters on it. So this is a spread attack, and it's played. I've seen this card played honestly a lot. It's like not that good, but I've seen it played a lot. And people play it with like something with some form of spread. I feel like it's often played with Tsarina EX, but you could play it with other things as well. If you do Assume Braviary, and then you want some spread attacker, but your Pokemon play Manaphy, so you could use a Drag Out to gust up their Manaphy and knock it out with Defiance Band, assuming you don't have double turbo. But if Defiance Band is active, then Reversal Energy is also active. So that is an option, not like the best option, but it could be a tech option within a deck playing Assume Braviary. Um, so yeah, it's not the best card, but yeah, I figured you'd talk about it. Speaking of attack options in certain decks, we have Goldengo. Goldengo here does not, 90 more, 30, but 90 more for Evolve from Gimmighoul this turn, which is something the like doing more if you evolved. We've seen that a few times now, recently, which is it's not my favorite mechanic because it feels kind of boring, but this is what I got, and it's pretty strong. It is 120 for 1. And you can also do 100 for 3 colorless and shuffle this Pokemon all cards attached into your deck. It's another hit and run attack like the Flyon EX. It's a little different. You shuffle it into the deck, which is actually like not good on a single prizer. The idea of shuffling it out of shuffling it into the deck means that you got it out of play, which is nice if you're a Pokemon that's vulnerable in some form. But this is a stage 1 Pokemon with like not super high HP, but not like super low either for a single prizer. It's certainly fine, and it's not like your opponent's gonna be like going for the Manaphy if they're looking for an easy knockout or something like that. I mean the Gimmighoul too, right? The Gimmighoul has what this one has 70. 70 is pretty common. You see 50 as well on the Call for Family one. I believe this the attack. It's essentially Call for Family if it's not called that, and so I feel like Surf returns like super you're looking at this not within the Golden EX deck. Surf returns like kind of interesting, but not great. I said 130 hit and run is good, and so 100 is like still pretty good, but also it's an evolution. You need to like reset it every turn. It's kind of awkward, but not terrible. But it's not looking great to me either. Then we have Rich Strike for 1 metal, though, as I said, 120 for 1. And this as a tech option in Golden EX seems pretty solid. Golden EX is a pretty linear deck. It's not the most linear deck in the game, but it's certainly up there. I feel like it, especially for an evolution deck, right? Evolution decks tend to be more interesting, I feel. And that one doesn't. You have this ability that like draws you cards, but you just use it. And then you have these, you have like a straightforward attack, you just knock stuff out. You do have potentially other like attacking options, notably Origin Form, Palkia V-Star, and Radiant Greninja are often played in the deck, but that's really like a once or twice per game thing. So you're not really going to be relying on that much at all. So Goldengo here is mostly going to be the main attacker. Goldengo EX, then you can mix in the single prize Goldengo. You don't even need to play Palkia. That feels kind of weird at times as well. You could put in stuff like Scissor. There are lots of options, but this single prize Goldengo, obviously, a Pokemon with the same name and same evolution line that also doesn't take up like a Goldengo spot or Goldengo EX spot, right? You can still play 4 Goldengo EXs and one of this Goldengo, so it does take up a deck spot, of course, but every card does. But this it just allows you to have the single price attack option. It's not great, right? 120 is not like one-shotting that many things, but it is one-shotting some single pricers. A lot of them, but not all of them. And 130 HP is not great. You can't really like attack with it multiple times, but it could get the job done within the deck. So I don't hate this card. It's still a better card in the Goldo EX deck than the other Goldo, which is a funny card. We like flip lots of coins, but also it's not very good in that deck. But yeah, I think this is a solid card. And then we got Smoochum. This is the card that someone was like, "Oh, there's a baby Pokemon." It's like, what baby Pokemon? And then all of a sudden, this card, I like refreshed, and this card just appeared. But Happy Kiss for so baby Pokemon, free retreat, 30 HP, free attack, and free attack says Happy Kiss. Search your deck for up to 2 basic Psychic Energy and attach them to your bench Pokemon any way you like. Bench off your deck. I feel like this is obviously good within Dragapult EX, right? Dragapult EX has serious energy issues. It does have like setup issues as well. Part of it's energy, but a big part of it's like it's a stage 2, so you still need your fire energies too. But I think this could be a solid addition to the Dragapult EX deck as an attacker that just powers you up. I think Smoochum's pretty solid. I'm not a big fan of Zadu, so I kind of like Smoochum because it opens up the like you don't need to Zadu. I just don't think Zadu is very good. It's pretty inconsistent. When it's good, it is quite good, but it doesn't work that often, and you can often pull off, especially in Dragapult, very similar things without Zadu. So I'm not a big fan of it. You can use your Ace spec. But you're probably playing that Ace spec anyway. Zadu opens like the door for other Ace specs, but it's kind of sketchy. So I think Smoochum is an interesting card concept, like within the deck. So Smoochum, I definitely kind of like. Um, I think it's like one of the more interesting baby Pokemon we've seen. Most of them have been pretty boring and obviously need to be pretty weak for free attacks on basic Pokemon that are single prizers, but also like Clefairy's. I mean, Clefairy's kind of interesting, the draw one, the one that actually sees play. And then I don't know. I think Elekid's kind of cool, but no one like is out here playing. I mean, the people playing Elekid are probably the same people playing Assume Braviary. Maybe it's one or the other, but similar concept. But I talked about History and Braviary more than I needed to. It's not the best card, but I do think Smoochum's pretty fun. I'm sure I'm forgetting some baby. Am I? No, I feel like the other ones like don't see play. Anyway, next we got a supporter Surfer, and this one's really interesting. This is a really solid supporter. Switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench. If you do, draw until you have 5 cards in hand. So drawing until 5 is okay, not great, but not like you can definitely get solid value out of this. I feel like consistently drawing 4 is pretty fair. And then Switch is like, Switch sees play. You have to switch and you can't like draw if you don't switch. This is kind of like Bird Keeper. It's actually very similar to Bird Keeper, which was draw 3 and switch, or switch, and then if you did draw 3, I believe is what it said. And this card, Bird Keeper, was really good. A classic card and themed, maybe. I think I consider it. That's what I think of. But it had a funny combo with like Rally. It did some stuff. But anyway, so Surfer here, I think is a pretty solid supporter, to be honest. I think it's a little held back because of the format we're in right now. There's no supporter search really. Like, I mean, there kind of is. There's like Pidgeot EX, and there is Gallade, but people don't really play Gallade as a stage 2, and Pidgeot EX is somewhat outclassing it. So Surfer, like, if you have the ability to search your deck for a supportive return or certain turns with something I guess we do have Lumineon V too, so maybe that's not really true. So this card might see play. I feel like Lumineon V isn't like Tapu Lele GX was like super good when that was in format quite a while ago. Surfer is not that. And there's a card we'll get to, Helper Bell, which does help supporters, but it's not like we'll talk about that one, but it's not going to be making Surfer some like insane top tier card. I do think Surfer is like a solid supporter though, going in that like tier 2 supporter behind obviously like Boss Orders, Iono, Arvin, things like that. So it's definitely behind those by a noticeable amount, but also I think it's like in a similar tier to something like I'd say it's similar to Hassel. I feel like some people I feel like they're pretty mixed opinions on Hassel, but I think Hassel's a pretty clear like second tier supporter, not the top tier, but it's still very playable. I think Surfer will be in that same camp. Then we have Counter Gain. Counter Gain is a tool card in its back. This card is so sick. Also, I was not expecting this. I mean, I guess that makes sense because Pokemon is like we're reprinting counter cards or like comeback cards. So they reprinted and not essentially they reprinted Counter Catcher. Literally, they did Defiance Band. So Counter Gain makes a lot of sense. If you're down in prizes, the attacks of the Pokemon this card is attached to cost 1 colorless less. For some reason, I thought this only worked on single prizers. It doesn't. It works on everything, which seems quite strong. Counter Gain's a really good card. Obviously, attacking cheaper is pretty insane. I think the big use of Counter Gain is I don't know. I don't exactly know what this is going to be played in, to be honest. You obviously need to be down, but you can be down. Like obviously, you can just be like down, right? But you can also force yourself to be down in prices with Dusclops and or Dusknoir. So you could do those things. You could do Fortress EX, though that's not good for a lot of reasons. But it's just bad, to be honest. That's the big one. But Dustoid and Dusclops are pretty good cards right now. Not like I think they're good. Some people I've heard think they're like game breaking. I don't think they're game breaking or anything like that. At least not in standard. But then counter gain is you can turn that on and just do some really crazy things. You can actually put this on Bloodmoor Seleniacs to like get even cheaper attacks, which is kind of funny, but not super great. And then you can also you can put this on different cards. I'm gonna look at the decks real quick in standard. I feel like it's not very good in most of these. Lugia Archeops does play Iron Hands EX. I mean, it plays a bunch of different attackers with Coalesce in their attack cost, but Iron Hands EX drop it from 4 energy to 3 seems pretty nice. It's played in a wide variety of decks, and it could be nice there. The counter gain card, and then Pidgeot Control. I mean, I think Pidgeot Control is a fun deck. Um, Iron Thorns EX, it could be good there, but also Iron Thorns EX. See, that's the one that I was like, it might have won. I don't know if it won the World Championships. We'll see. At the time of releasing it, I think it's probably not over, but um, yeah, Pidgeot control, and then like Iron Thorns EX is also control, so I think it's good. And Snorlax is like also control. Iron Thorns EX isn't exactly control. I'd say it's like aggro control. That's probably the best term for it. But like Snorlax, you could put this in so you can attack with other things easier. You could put it in like Arceus. I think it's really good in Arceus V-Star. Arceus V-Star has various issues where like if you get knocked out turn one, things are bad, and so it can kind of cover up that issue. It's not a bad deck. It's a very solid deck. Not played a lot right now, but is a very solid deck. And yeah, I mean I think it's a good card. We'll see exactly how Pokemon. I haven't really thought about it looking at card reveals because obviously it hasn't been revealed. It's not out. So counter game though really cool. I think I was like really hyped for Counter Catcher. I'm not as hyped for Counter Gain as Counter Catcher. It's probably Counter Catcher is better. Counter Catcher probably was too good. Counter Gain might also be too good though. Like let's look at Counter Gain um in actual decks, right? I didn't really play these decks. Oh, what? I played some of these decks. Pikarom. Okay, sorry. I just want to take a quick look. What am I looking at here? I mean, this is like Pikarom, but why are they playing Counter Gain? I guess for Vikavolt. Anyways, what it's mostly played in is, I mean, I don't know. It's played in lots of different things. You could put it in ADP apparently. You could put it in Zoroark GX, which is the deck I was thinking it was in. Zoroark GX got Lycanroc. Oh, apparently with this Lycanroc as well. So this is for Zoroark. It was a later tournament, a newer tournament. But Zoroark GX here, 2 colorless energies, but you can drop it down to 1. And a rank is 1, you can drop it to 0. You can do lots of different interesting things with it. And yeah, I think it's a really, really cool card, and you could play it in lots of different things, enabling different like combos, but not entirely. Like it helps you like do things easier, but it's not. I don't think it's going to be some game-changing card. We'll see. I mean, I think it'll be good. I think it'll be probably top 10 tools pretty clearly, but um, tools are weird. Tools are in a really weird spot right now, especially there's like Ace Vax and there's Forest Seal Stone, which is super broken. Kind of like it's honestly functions very similar to computer search, which is weird because they're different like types of cards, but they do. And so I think counter game though will slot into. I think it'll be like one of the best tools in the game, but also tools aren't like that good right now. They're meaningful, but not like super game defining. So yeah. And we have Helper Belt. This card's an interesting card. I think this isn't very good, but I'll read it off. I don't think it's bad, but I don't think it's. I don't. I think it's kind of bad. You can only use this turn one going second. Search for a supporter, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. The big issue is like you're just as likely to have the supporter in your hand as you are Helper Bell. Like you could technically like this is good with Pokestop, so that is a valid use case of it. And if you are a turbo deck, Helper Bell's not like that bad. Pokegear is played. I'm not a big fan of Pokegear. I'm not a big fan of Hyper Bell, Helper Bell either. There's a supported like search card called Random Receiver, which is actually I think more consistent than Pokegear, and that card I wasn't like a massive fan. I played some, but it's not a great card. It's a solid card, but not my favorite. Helper Bell, I definitely think it's not, I've heard some people say that, like, because this card just got revealed, but I've heard some people talking about it, and some people said that they think this card's really good. I don't think it's really good. You can only play on one turn of the game. It's like okay on that turn of the game. It's arguably good, but I mean it's good, right? Searching for a support on an item would be broken if it had no downside. Broken, very good at the very least. Versus Seekers and Expanded. Um, and that card is very, very good. And it's not just Searcher Supporter. It's get one from the discard, but that might be even better. So, yeah, Helper Bell is only one turn of the game, though, and only if you go second, too. Like, this can just be a completely dead card the entire game, which is not good. And so, yeah, this card, like, it's not like, and also it's an item, but it's an item you can't play. You can't play this in your hand or anything. So, I don't think Helper Bell's very good. It might end up seeing some play. There are lots of cards that you can only use, or more than I'd like to see, of cards that you can only use turn one. I just don't really like those types of cards, and this is only turn one going second, so I don't think it's that good. But then we do have Megaton Blower. This card is pretty interesting. It's an A-Spec card. That's like this fan. I don't know. This art feels kind of weird to me. I mean, A-Spec arts are kind of weird in general. I mean, trainer arts, like even like this is just this thing floating like in something. So it's not like the art's like something super like obvious. Like what am I looking at? But and like why is this bell just like floating? But I don't know. I find this art kind of weird. Like why are all the aspects on like wheels now all of a sudden? Anyways, Megaton Blower. It said it's an item card that says discard all tools and special energy attached to each of your opponent's Pokemon and discard any stadium in play. This is pretty interesting as like a counter card. To me, the big issue is you have Enhanced Hammer and Lost Vacuum, so it's like I'm put together, but that's not that good. I mean, Lost Vacuum is a very good card right now. I'd say it's like a like the it's like I mean, it's a very good card, right? It's not like Nest Ball or Ultra Ball, but it's quite good. And then also, Enhanced Hammer is okay. Enhanced Hammer is not great. If they were both good, I'd say like, oh, this is if they're both like one of tax, but you could consider putting two if that's like the spot that they were in. I'd say this card is really solid, although it's still like a counter card. So I think it could end up seeing play. It's really good against Lugia. It just like could destroy them, but it might not destroy them too, right? They can kind of play around it, and it's not great. You can recover this and stuff as well theoretically, but Megaton Blower, I think it's an interesting A spec. It's a control A spec, which is not what I was expecting. Prime Catcher, Hero's Cape, Survival Base can be Legacy. No, I mean yeah, Legacy Energy, New York Energy. A lot of different A specs can be used in control, but they're not like just control. But this is a control A spec, which is interesting to say the least. I'm going to talk about control on the podcast this coming week. Um, Tomorrow, I guess, and we'll talk about like Pokemon's banned a lot of control cards. So that's kind of weird. Like they're not a big fan of control, but then they are. It's kind of weird. But Megaton Blower is an interesting card and one I think is like fine as an ace spec. I don't think it's great. I think it's near the lower end, but it's like a very techy ace spec, which is kind of weird. But yeah, anyway, that's all for today's video. Hope you enjoyed. Consider liking and subscribing, hitting the bell, hitting the helper bell as well. No, but join the channel. If you want to support me, that's a great way to do it. I appreciate just if you comment your thoughts on these cards, which cards you think are going to be cool, and also subscribing though. But I hope you enjoyed, and I'm excited to see you in the next video.